Hello students, this is Professor Vincent Osaya. Welcome to my class. This is part 4 of chapter 2 presentation. Here is where we left off in part 3. We talked about the 10 generally accepted auditing standards, and we said that these 10 standards are divided into 3 categories: general standards, standards of fieldwork, and the standards of reporting. And we talk about the 3 general standards. We explain the standards of fieldwork, and we also talk about the standards of reporting. Now, here is a summary of the 10 standards. Now, part 4, we are going to start off by talking about the principles underlying an audit. Now, what does that mean? 4 main principles underlying an audit. They are the purpose, responsibilities, performance, and reporting. So let's take a look at the purpose. Here we said that to express an opinion on the financial statement prepared by management, whose responsibility is to prepare the financial statement and to provide the auditor with information necessary to conduct the audit. Couple of things I want to draw to your attention here. At the end of the day, the main purpose of conducting an audit is for the auditor to express an opinion or to issue a report on the financial statements. That is the main purpose of engaging in audit of financial statements. Now, the second thing I want to draw to your attention is the fact that these financial statements are prepared by management. So it is management's responsibility to make sure that the financial statements are accurate, complete, no errors, no misstatement, so on and so forth. So it is not the auditor's responsibility to make sure that the financial statements are in accordance with GAAP, that they are complete, so on and so forth. The auditor's responsibility is to do the audit and express an opinion in the final analysis. So that is number 1 principle underlying an audit. Number 2, responsibilities. Have competence and capability, comply with ethical requirements, maintain a professional skepticism, exercise professional judgment. So auditors are responsible to have the capability, the know-how, the necessary knowledge to conduct an audit. While we are doing so, we need to comply with whatever ethical requirements there are, and also we need to maintain professional skepticism. In other words, we have to be skeptical of almost anything and everything. We cannot just take we cannot let our guys down. So we have to maintain professional skepticism. And of course, we are also required to exercise professional judgment while we are conducting our audit. Some of these issues are going to come up eventually in subsequent chapters. And the third important principle is performance. During the course of doing our work, we are required to gather sufficient appropriate audit evidence supporting a reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatements. So here we go. So the evidence that we are going to gather and the evidence that we are going to analyze in order to help us render an opinion or express an opinion, the evidence has to be sufficient. It has to be enough. It has to be adequate. Number 1, it also has to be appropriate. You can gather a lot of evidence that are not appropriate to the subject matter. That does not do you any good. And to support what? Reasonable assurance. Don't forget now, we are not giving absolute assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatement. Now, the financial statements, if the financial statements are not free, if the financial statements are misstated but not material, we are okay as auditors. our main focus is to make sure that the financial statements are free of material misstatement. We did talk about materiality as one of the three important concepts of audit in chapter 1. Then the last principle is reporting. Again, like I said, we have to express an opinion in the form of written report based on an evaluation of audit evidence obtained, or state that an opinion cannot be expressed. If we cannot express an opinion, we have to indicate the reason why we cannot express an opinion. Moving along, let's take a look at the statements on auditing standards. We call this SAS. Remember, we just talked about GAS, meaning generally accepted auditing standards, and we talk about three different bodies that come up with generally accepted auditing standards. Now, here we are talking about SAS. What are SAS? SAS are interpretation of GAS. So we have the standards, then we also have SAS that explain what GAS means. All right, so it's very important. These two things are very important for you to know. Here we said that GAS and SAS are considered to be minimum standards of performance for auditors. You need to catch this. Minimum standards. What do they mean by that? Meaning that as auditors, you can do more. In other words, the GAS and SAS are minimum. In other words, you have to do that much. If you don't do that much, then you would not have conducted an effective audit. But you can do more if you think that it is necessary for you to do more. So here we have a PCAOB adopted on an interim basis, GAS and SAS existing in 2013, 2003, like I indicated earlier. So the standard issued by PCAOB are called auditing standards, okay? So they piggyback on the standards that were in existence in 2003. So moving along, we said that SAS are classified by two numbering categories, SAS and AU numbers. The SAS number applies to the order in which the standards are issued and are thus chronological. What does that mean? In other words, they are numbered according to when they were issued. So they are in chronological order. The AU codification, however, organizes SAS according to topical content. So those are organized in topical content. You have to excuse me for a minute. So moving along, so here's an example of what we just talked about. For example, SAS number 39, audit sampling is found under AU 350 because the AU 300 is related to the standards of fieldwork on evidence collection and evaluation. Moving along, let's take a look at ethics, independence, and the code of professional conduct. So ethics refers to a system or code of conduct based on moral duties and obligations that indicate how we should behave. Here we are told that professionalism refers to the conduct, aims, or qualities that characterize a profession or professional person. All professions operate under some type of code of conduct or under some type of code of ethics or code of conduct. Now, what does that mean? We said that for the interest of the public and also for the interest of the profession itself, every profession owes it to himself to come up with a code of professional conduct. Meaning, these are set of conventional principles and expectations of every member of that profession. Now, let's take a look at ethics, independence, and the code of professional conduct. Okay, so the code of professional conduct consists of three things. You have the principles, you have the rules of conduct, and you have interpretation of the rules. Now, so what does that mean? Let's take a look at the principles. The principles of the Code of Professional Conduct basically provide the framework for the rules. What does that mean? Let's take a look at an example of one of the principles that you are going to see in the AICPA Code of Professional Conduct. It will say that CPA should maintain integrity. So that principle is broad. What does that mean when we say that CPAs should maintain integrity? Now let's take a look at the rules of conduct. The rules of conduct are enforceable. They are specifically defined. For example, one of the rules of conduct says that CPAs should be independent of the audit, they should be independent of the company or of their auditee. So that is a rule, that is enforceable, that is clearly defined. Now, of course, another element of Code of Professional Conduct, those will be the interpretations of the rules. So here are the rules, and there are some narrative explanations or interpreting what the rules actually mean. So that is the conclusion of Chapter 2, presentation, the financial statement auditing environment.